The divorce papers hit the kitchen table with a thud that echoed through my world. My husband Alex stood there, his face cold as stone, not even looking at me directly. "Your brother told me everything," he said, his voice flat and emotionless. "You disgust me." I stared at the papers, my mind completely blank. The words "irreconcilable differences" blurred as my eyes filled with tears I didn't understand. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. But Alex was already walking toward the door, keys jingling in his hand. "Don't pretend you don't know. The screenshots, the messages, everything. Your own brother showed me proof." My heart stopped. Screenshots? Messages? I hadn't cheated on anyone. I hadn't even thought about another man since the day I married Alex 3 years ago. "Alex, wait," I started, but the front door slammed shut before I could finish. I sat alone in my kitchen, staring at legal documents that would end my marriage, having no idea what my husband was talking about. With shaking hands, I picked up my phone and called the only person who might have answers. "I'm Wren, and this is the story of how my own brother wrecked my marriage with one sick joke. Stick around till the end, because I didn't just cry. I got even." My brother answered on the second ring, and I could hear him laughing. "Nico, Alex just served me with divorce papers," I said, my voice shaking. "He said you told him I was cheating. What's going on?" Nico was still chuckling about something. "Wait, what? He actually filed for divorce? Are you serious right now?" "Yes, I'm serious." "What did you tell him?" "Oh my God, Wren, I can't believe he actually went that far." Nico burst into louder laughter. "I told him you were having an affair just to mess with him. It was supposed to be a joke. I even showed him some fake screenshots I made." My blood turned to ice. "You told my husband I was cheating as a joke? He's always so serious and uptight. I thought he'd confront you, you'd laugh it off, and he'd realize he was being ridiculous. But he actually filed papers? That's hilarious. Your husband really doesn't trust you at all, does he?" I couldn't speak. My own brother had destroyed my marriage for entertainment and was laughing about it. "Nico, this isn't funny. He's moving out tonight." "Oh, come on, Wren. You always bounce back from everything. Just tell him it was a prank and he'll feel stupid for overreacting." I hung up. That night, I watched through my bedroom window as Alex loaded boxes into his car and drove away. Within 3 days, my entire world had crumbled. Alex's parents, who had treated me like their own daughter, blocked me on all social media. His sister, who I'd considered one of my closest friends, wouldn't return my calls. My best friend Casey texted me, "I heard what happened. Why weren't you honest from the beginning? Alex deserves better than being lied to." I tried calling her to explain, but she'd already made up her mind. Nico had been busy spreading his version of events, telling people I was acting guilty and trying to play victim now that I got caught. The worst part was that nobody asked for my side of the story. They all just believed Nico because why would a brother lie about something like that? I was sitting on my couch when a notification popped up. A voice message from an unknown number, but when I played it, I recognized the voice immediately. It was Alex's mother. I always knew there was something off about that girl. She seemed too perfect, too sweet. I guess we know now she's just a cheap disappointment who couldn't appreciate what she had. The message cut off abruptly, like she'd accidentally sent it to me instead of whoever she meant to send it to. I couldn't take it anymore. The next morning, I drove to Alex's workplace, a small accounting firm downtown. I waited in the parking lot until I saw him walking to his car during lunch break. "Alex, please," I called out, jogging to catch up with him. "Just give me 5 minutes to explain." He turned around, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the man I'd married. But it disappeared quickly, replaced by cold indifference. "There's nothing to explain, Wren. I saw the evidence." "What evidence?" "Nico made it up. He told me himself it was a joke." Alex shook his head. "Your brother had screenshots of your conversations. Messages talking about meeting someone, complaining about our marriage. That was enough. But did you ever think to ask me if it was true? Did you ever consider that maybe your wife of 3 years deserved the benefit of the doubt?" He looked away. The evidence was pretty clear. I felt something break inside me. You trusted my brother over me. Your own wife. He got in his car without another word. When I got home, Nico was parked outside my house, leaning against his car with that same infuriating smirk. You look terrible, Nico said as I walked past him toward my front door. Come on, Wren. You always bounce back from everything. I didn't think this would actually ruin your life. I turned to face him, fury building in my chest. How exactly did you get those screenshots, Nico? He shrugged casually. I'm pretty good with photo editing. Made some fake text conversations, threw in some details that sounded realistic. Your husband ate it right up. You destroyed my marriage with fake evidence? Look, I thought he'd come to you, you'd deny it, and he'd realize how stupid he was being. I was trying to prove a point about trust, but then he just ran with it. Nico looked slightly confused. I guess he really doesn't trust you as much as I thought. I stared at my brother, this person I'd grown up with, shared everything with, defended countless times to other people who said he was selfish and cruel. Did you have fun? I asked quietly. He perked up. Actually, yeah. It was kind of fun watching him get all worked up. You should have seen him when I showed him the screenshots. His face went completely red, and he started shaking. That was it. I was done being his entertainment. 2 weeks later, at our cousin's birthday party, Nico was telling his version of events to anyone who would listen. So my sister's going through this whole divorce thing, he said, gesturing with his beer bottle. Poor thing can't handle that her husband doesn't trust her. I may have mentioned some concerns about her behavior to him, but if he believed them so easily, maybe there were already problems in their marriage. Everyone was nodding sympathetically. Our aunt was shaking her head. Poor Wren, she said. She must be devastated. Right? But honestly, she's probably better off. If your own husband doesn't believe you when people raise questions, what kind of marriage is that? I just wish I hadn't gotten caught in the middle of their trust issues. Nico was playing the concerned brother perfectly, making it seem like he'd just shared some innocent concerns that unfortunately got blown out of proportion. Nobody suspected he deliberately fabricated evidence to destroy my life. I listened from the doorway for 3 minutes, then quietly left the party. I went home and opened my laptop. As a cybersecurity analyst, I knew how to find information that people thought they'd hidden. Nico had always been careless with digital security. I pulled up our shared cloud storage account from college. Nico still used it regularly. I could see recent files from last week. Nico had always backed up everything: photos, documents, voice memos, screenshots of conversations. As I sorted through the files, I found content that painted a very different picture of my brother than the concerned family member everyone thought they knew. I created folders to organize everything by date and person. There were voice recordings of him bragging to friends about manipulating people. Screenshots of group chats where he mocked our parents behind their backs. Messages where he called our cousin names and made fun of our relatives. But the most shocking content was about his girlfriend Kaya. Voice memo after voice memo of him complaining to his friends about how clingy she was, how he was only with her because she was convenient and had a good job. One screenshot from a group chat made my stomach turn, thinking about pulling one on my sister. Got some fake screenshots ready that would really screw with her husband's head. Should be fun to watch her world burn. His friends had encouraged him. Do it. That sounds hilarious. Then I found a folder from this month with a recording dated just 3 days after Alex served me with papers. I clicked play and heard Nico's voice, clear as day. She's always been too trusting, too naive. It would be so easy to just destroy everything she thinks she knows about her life. I've got her marriage handled, but I could do so much more damage if I wanted to. His friends were laughing in the background, encouraging him to elaborate. Then I heard another voice, softer, definitely female. You wouldn't actually do that to your own sister, would you? I rewound and listened again. That voice was familiar. It was definitely Kaya's voice in the background. I can't believe you would actually do that, Kaya continued, sounding disturbed. Nico's response was dismissive. Oh, come on, babe. It's just theoretical. I wouldn't actually do anything to hurt Wren. Besides, she's way stronger than you think. My heart started racing as I realized what this meant. Kaya thought Nico was just talking about hypothetical pranks, not actually destroying lives. She had no idea about all the cruel things he said about her behind her back, or that he'd already gone through with ruining my marriage. This was my opening. I spent the next day carefully planning my approach. This wasn't about revenge, it was about truth. Nico had destroyed my reputation with lies, so I would restore it with facts. But I had to be careful so he couldn't worm his way out of this one. I started with Kaya. Based on that recording, she had moral objections to Nico's cruel ideas, but she didn't know he'd already acted on them. She deserved to see who he really was. I opened a new message and typed carefully, "Hey Kaya, random question. Has Nico ever lied to you about something serious?" She replied within minutes. "Why? What's going on?" I sent her one screenshot first, a group chat where Nico called her needy but useful for paying for dates. I waited an hour before sending the next piece, a voice memo where Nico told his friends that Kaya was too emotional and he had to fake interest in her problems to keep her happy. Then I sent the recording from after my divorce papers, where she could hear her own voice in the background asking if he would really hurt his sister. I included a message. He wasn't talking hypothetically, Kaya. He already carried out his twisted plan with fake screenshots 3 days before he told you he wouldn't. And no less, he called it a joke. You can hear it all yourself. Kaya's response came hours later. I can't believe what I'm seeing. I remember that conversation. I thought he was just talking about pranks he'd never actually do. I had no idea he was saying these things about me or that he'd really hurt you. I'm so sorry. Within hours, she deleted every photo of Nico from her social media accounts and blocked him everywhere. But she didn't confront him directly. She just disappeared from his life completely. The next morning, Nico called me, panic clear in his voice. "What did you do?" he screamed. "Kaya blocked me on everything. She won't answer my calls, and she changed her locks. I know this was you." I kept my voice calm. "I didn't tell her anything that wasn't true, Nico. If she left you, maybe she finally saw who you really are." "This isn't over," he said. "You're right," I replied. "It's just getting started." But I didn't tell any family members anything just yet. Nico spent the next few weeks trying desperately to figure out what had happened with Kaya and how to win her back, but she had completely cut him off. Our family reunion was coming up in a month. That would be the perfect stage for everyone to learn the truth at once. Over the next few weeks, I continued gathering evidence while Nico grew increasingly desperate about losing Kaya. He tried using mutual friends to reach her, but she'd apparently told them enough that they stopped helping him. Meanwhile, Nico was still playing the concerned brother role with our family, occasionally mentioning how worried he was about my mental state after the divorce. "Wren's been acting a little strange lately," he told our mom during one of their phone calls. "I think the stress is getting to her. She's been asking weird questions and seems paranoid about things." I let him think he was winning. I spent my time organizing all his recordings into a comprehensive presentation. I had years of content showing Nico mocking every family member behind their backs, manipulating situations for his own entertainment, and revealing his complete lack of genuine affection for anyone. The most damning evidence was the timeline showing how he'd planned and executed the destruction of my marriage, then bragged about it to his friends while pretending to comfort me. I also found recent recordings where Nico talked about expanding the game and seeing how much more damage he could do to my life, just for fun. By the time I was finished, I had an ironclad case that would show our entire family exactly who Nico really was. Nico became more confident as the reunion approached, thinking he'd successfully managed the situation with Kaya and positioned me as the unstable one in our family's eyes. "I'm really worried about Wren," he told our aunt during a phone call I later found recorded in his files. "She's been making wild accusations and acting paranoid since the divorce. I think she's having some kind of breakdown and looking for someone to blame." He was laying the groundwork to discredit anything I might say, making sure that if I tried to expose him, the family would see it as the desperate actions of a woman having a mental health crisis. But what Nico didn't realize was that his arrogance was working in my favor. He was so confident in his manipulation abilities that he documented everything, never imagining that his own recordings would be used against him. I spent the week before the reunion practicing my presentation. I organized the evidence chronologically, starting with smaller manipulations and building to the destruction of my marriage. I wanted the family to see the pattern clearly. This wasn't just one bad decision, but years of calculated cruelty. The reunion was being held at our aunt's house, with about 20 family members expected to attend. Nico had confirmed he was coming, apparently hoping to continue playing the supportive brother while positioning me as unstable. He had no idea what was waiting for him. I arrived at the reunion early to set up my laptop and speakers. When Nico arrived, he looked confident and relaxed. He immediately started working the room, making jokes and subtly reinforcing his narrative about my difficult time since the divorce. "Poor Wren's been struggling," he told our cousin. "I try to be supportive, but she's been acting a little paranoid lately. I think the stress is really getting to her. She even accused me of somehow being involved in her marriage problems, which is just sad, really." I watched him operate, seeing his manipulation tactics clearly for the first time. The way he positioned himself as the concerned brother while subtly suggesting I was mentally unstable. How he steered conversations away from details while planting seeds of doubt about my credibility. During dinner, Nico seemed completely at ease, joking with relatives and playing the role of the devoted brother perfectly. He even made a few comments about how he was trying to help Wren through this difficult time, despite her unfair accusations against him. "Family is family," he said to our grandmother. "No matter what Wren says about me, I'll always be there for her. That's what brothers do." Our grandmother patted his hand approvingly, and I could see the satisfaction in Nico's eyes. He thought he'd won. After dinner, when everyone was gathered in the living room, I stood up. "Before we do the usual family updates, there's something everyone needs to know about Nico. I found some recordings that I think you all should hear." Nico's face went white, but he quickly recovered. "Wren, please don't do this. I know you're hurting, but making up stories about me won't fix your marriage." "I'm not making anything up," I said calmly, connecting my laptop to the TV. "These are Nico's own recordings in his own voice, from his own files." "This is exactly what I was talking about," Nico said to the room, his voice full of fake concern. "She's been having these paranoid episodes since the divorce. I think she needs help, not an audience for her delusions." But I was already starting the presentation. "First, I want you to hear what Nico really thinks about this family." I played the recording where Nico called our parents naive idiots who believe everything I tell them. The room went silent. Nico tried to interrupt. "That's taken out of context." I played the next recording where Nico mocked our cousin's learning disability, calling her too stupid to function in the real world. Then the screenshots where he called our uncle pathetic and our aunt annoying and made cruel jokes about our grandmother's age. Each revelation was met with gasps and murmurs of disbelief. Family members were hearing, in Nico's own voice, what he really thought of them. "These are private conversations," Nico protested. "Everyone vents to their friends sometimes." "For years." I asked. "You've been mocking your family for years?" I moved to the next section. "And here's what Nico thinks about his relationship." I played recordings where he called Kaya clingy and said he was only with her for money and convenience. But I was building to the climax. "And now, here's what Nico really did to my marriage and how he feels about it." I played the recording where Nico bragged to his friends about creating fake screenshots to destroy my marriage, laughing about how easily he'd manipulated Alex and how fun it had been to watch my life fall apart. "This was recorded 3 days after Alex served me with divorce papers," I said. While Nico was pretending to comfort me. The silence in the room was deafening. Nico tried one last desperate play. "She's doctored these recordings. She works in tech. She could fake anything. This is all part of her breakdown." That's when Kaya appeared in the doorway. She'd arrived late and heard the last part of my presentation. "The recordings are real," Kaya said, stepping into the room. "I was there for some of them. I can hear my own voice in the background." Nico saw her and jumped up desperately. "Kaya, baby, please, you have to understand." "I understand perfectly," Kaya said coldly. "I understand that you destroyed your sister's life for entertainment. I understand that you've been lying to me about who you are for 2 years. And I understand that I was right to cut you out of my life completely." Nico tried to approach her, but she held up her hand. Stay away from me. Don't call, don't text, don't try to contact me through friends. The aftermath was swift and absolute. 20 pairs of eyes turned to Nico, who was standing frozen in the middle of the room. Mom sat in stunned silence after hearing everything. Then she started crying. I defended him to everyone, she whispered. When people said he was selfish or cruel, I told them they didn't understand him. But I guess I didn't understand him either. Dad stayed quiet. You destroyed Wren's marriage for fun, our aunt asked, her voice shaking with rage. Nico tried to stammer an explanation, but our 82-year-old grandmother stood up slowly. I've heard enough, she said in a voice that cut through the room like ice. Get out of my sight, and don't you ever come back to this family. Grandma, please, you don't understand, Nico started. I understand that you're a liar and a manipulator, she replied. You hurt your family for your own amusement. With everything you just said about your sister, you're the one who's sick. She looked at him one last time before leaving the room, and you can forget about coming over for Christmas. You won't be getting any food or gifts from me. I'm too old after all. Kaya turned to me. Wren, I'm so sorry for what he did to you. And I'm sorry I didn't see who he really was sooner. It's not your fault, I told her. He's very good at hiding his true nature. Nico looked around the room desperately, but every face showed disgust, anger, or disappointment. Our parents couldn't even look at him. This isn't fair, he said weakly. Everyone makes mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, our father said, speaking for the first time since the presentation began. This was calculated cruelty. You raised me to be weak. Nico snapped, his mask finally slipping completely. All of you are so pathetic, so trusting. It was easy to manipulate you because you're all idiots. The room erupted. I held up my hand. He's done enough damage. Let him leave. One by one, family members stood up and left the room, leaving Nico standing alone. No one said goodbye. No one offered him a chance to explain further. The evidence was too overwhelming, his own words too damning. Nico tried to follow people out, pleading for understanding, but doors literally closed in his face. Our parents, devastated by what they'd learned, walked past him without a word. Within an hour, the reunion was over and Nico was completely alone. This isn't over, Wren, he said as he passed me on his way out. You think you've won, but you've just made things worse for yourself. I looked at him calmly. You're right, Nico. This isn't over. It's just the beginning of you living with the consequences of your choices. He slammed the door behind him, and I heard his car screech out of the driveway. The next morning, I woke up to find that Nico had been removed from the family group chat right after everyone had given him a piece of their minds through angry texts and voice notes. He was uninvited from all future family events and basically erased from our family's social circle. My phone was buzzing with messages from relatives apologizing for believing Nico's lies about me and expressing their horror at what he'd done. Most importantly, 3 different family members had independently reached out to Alex to tell him what Nico had done. Alex called me that afternoon, his voice shaking. Wren, I am so sorry. Your cousin played me the recording of Nico bragging about faking those screenshots. I can't believe I fell for his manipulation. I know, I said simply. I should have trusted you. I should have known you would never cheat on me. I should have asked you for the truth instead of believing fake evidence. He paused, then continued with hope in his voice. Is there any chance we could try again? I know I don't deserve it, but I understand now how wrong I was. Nico manipulated me, and I fell for it completely. I thought about it for a long moment. Alex, you chose to believe I was capable of betraying you without even asking me if it was true. You saw some fake screenshots and immediately assumed the worst about your wife of 3 years. That's not something I can get past. But I was manipulated. So were other people, but most spouses would have at least asked their partner for their side of the story before filing for divorce. You didn't trust me enough to even have that conversation. Please, Wren. I love you. I made a mistake, but we can work through this. The mistake wasn't falling for Nico's lies, I said gently. The mistake was not knowing me well enough to question them. Alex was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. I understand. I'm sorry I failed you when you needed me most. The conversation was painful but necessary. Some trust, once broken, can't be repaired. Nico tried calling me multiple times over the next week, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails. Wren, you've ruined my life. Kaya won't talk to me, my friends think I'm toxic, and now my own family has turned against me. Are you happy now? Then, please just call me back. We're family. We can work through this. I know I messed up, but everyone deserves a second chance. Then, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I hurt you. But you've taken this too far. You've destroyed everything good in my life. How is that fair? I didn't respond to any of them. A month later, Nico tried calling me one final time. His voice was small, defeated. You got what you wanted, he said. Everyone hates me now. I lost Kaya, I lost my family, I lost my friends. I hope you're satisfied. I didn't want everyone to hate you, Nico, I said. I wanted them to know who you really are. They only heard one side of the story. They heard your own words and your own voice from your own recordings. There's no other side to that story. Please, Wren. I'm sorry. I know I messed up, but I can change. I can be better. You had 30 years to be a decent person. You chose cruelty instead. These are just the consequences of your choices. But we're family. Family doesn't destroy each other for entertainment. Family doesn't lie about each other to cause pain. You stopped being my family the day you decided my suffering was funny. I hung up and blocked his number. 5 years after Nico destroyed my marriage with fake screenshots, I was living a life he couldn't touch. I'd been promoted to senior cybersecurity analyst at work, married a fellow analyst who valued honesty above all else, and bought a house with a garden where I grew herbs with my rescue dog Cooper. My blog about recognizing manipulation tactics had helped thousands of people identify toxic family members and set healthy boundaries. Nico's reputation had followed him to his new state. I'd heard from several people who'd encountered him and recognized his tactics because of the awareness I'd helped spread. Ashley, a woman who'd briefly dated him, wrote, "He tried the same manipulation tactics with me, but I recognized the patterns because I'd read your blog. Thank you for warning people." My family relationships had become genuine without Nico constantly stirring up drama. Our parents had maintained their boundaries when he'd tried to reconnect. We realized that helping him was actually enabling him to hurt other people, Mom told me. The kindest thing we can do is let him face the consequences of his choices. Sitting on my back porch with my husband reading beside me and Cooper sleeping at our feet, I thought about the strange journey that had brought me here. Nico had intended to prove that he could destroy my life for entertainment. Instead, he'd forced me to build something so strong and authentic that his chaos couldn't reach it. No regrets? My husband asked, squeezing my hand. I watched Cooper chase a butterfly in the garden I'd planted with my own hands, surrounded by the peace I'd fought to protect. None, I said honestly. Nico had taught me something valuable. Some people will hurt you not because you deserve it, but because they enjoy the power it gives them. And once you understand that, you can protect yourself by simply refusing to give them that power. The sun was setting, my phone was silent, and I'd learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to let toxic people have access to your peace. Sometimes, the best revenge is making someone live with the truth they tried to bury. So that's my story. What would you have done? Craving more secrets, lies, and betrayal? This is just the beginning. Hit subscribe. You won't believe what comes next.